Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome back to part 2 of our Thoughts Explored.
I'd like to say happy solstice to everybody. It is our summer solstice.
What does that mean, Lex?
The beginning of summer.
And what else?
And it's the very longest day and shortest night. We're closest to the sun at this time.
That's right.
Of the year.
Lex, as you can tell, is very excited about this day.
Oh, yeah. Not to mention the fact that tomorrow is our anniversary.
Oh, yeah, there's that too. So we wanted to kind of start off the show by wrapping up or closing the loop on the question that Lex posed at the very end of the broadcast. I had to re-listen to that one to see what the question was.
We were talking about the vibration and frequency.
Yes, and to see what, so I guess now we should just go into that and say, because your question was...
Well, my question was, I wonder how it is that we decided culturally or whatever that a higher, faster, bigger, or higher frequency was a better place to be or to strive for. And what we talked about offline after we ended the episode last week was that you were saying that how it's just always the idea of growth or evolution or expansion, upward and outward, that's what gives us the correlation with higher frequency or that is a better thing than a slower, lower, more contracted, more constricted way. And also the correlation, like when we think about chakras, for instance, the base chakra, the root chakra is the lower chakra that relates to fight or flight or primitive base thoughts and emotions, as opposed to increasingly higher and more evolutionary.
Yeah, and I don't know that I was saying
states.
Better, because I think we need to be tuned into all frequencies, but we need to learn how to tune into the ones that we are not used to getting tuned into. So I kind of say that experience of the vibration, I consider it more of an experience without a judgment, whether it be better or worse. But for me, more of an experience that I want to experience more of in my life right now, as opposed to what I had been previously experiencing. Does that make sense?
Yes, and in that sense, I think it is better or something that is more likely to create a sense of well-being and altruism and compassion and love and all of those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So hopefully that, I think that very nicely ties up our last podcast where we were talking about vibration. Just thinking about that a little bit further, but then also going into some of the other things that I've been thinking about. It's interesting to see how all of these crisscross, and I think even more interesting, but even more interesting is the podcast that I've been listening to, how sometimes I've been thinking about something and then I turn on this podcast and it's podcasting it. So it's, just talking about synchronicity for a moment. And, if you do believe that, saying that there are no accidents,
there are no coincidences.
Accidents, or whatever you want to, however you want to call it.
You get exactly what you need, which you're open to receiving.
Yeah, I think that's really important to like just what you said, being open to receiving the gifts. And sometimes we joke about that, accept the gift.
Yeah.
But it's not, it's like there's some truth in that. And you do have to be open to that, to really receive all the gifts that the universe has for you. And sometimes they might not be interpreted as gifts, but they really are, in some way or another, if you're open to receiving what the lessons are on those gifts that the universe provides for you, I think, on a daily basis.
Well, with the positive synchronicity of the podcasts that you're listening to, which I love that you're posting some of those podcasts on Facebook is great. The Matt Belair and stuff. Really good stuff, repeatedly good stuff. But anyway, that's synchronicity in a sense. That it also is you're purposefully seeking those positive messages and positive things.
Oh, for sure.
As opposed to merely falling upon them unexpectedly.
One might say inspired action.
Yes, exactly. Right. Inspired action, intention.
I am practicing one of those laws of the universe, I think.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes for me, the inspired action has to be, forced is a hard word, but like sometimes I wonder at my own resistance. For instance, doing the podcast, our own podcast that you lovely listeners are listening to at this exact moment.
Thank you for that.
Sometimes it's like like pulling teeth, I think Chris might say, to get me to sit down to talk on these podcasts. But it's good for me.
It's good for you. That's good. So you're seeing a gift nestled in here somehow?
I think it is. It's a good thing for me.
Why so?
Because I have some good things to say.
Yes.
And you pull it out of me and then publish it.
Well, it's not like I'm sitting here surreptitiously recording you.
No, I know. It's fully intentional.
Well, yeah, it's kind of funny because each week, we're trying to do this weekly now. So each week I'll say to Lex, okay, what are we going to talk about? And then Lex says, well, I don't really have anything.
I have nothing to say.
So I'm like, wow, that's going to be a really quick podcast if that's the case. So,
but Chris always has a lot to say. So that's she always gets us going.
Wow, that sounds like that's interesting. Okay, well, I guess I do have some thoughts about a few things. So in terms of sharing the podcast, I thought that it was time for anybody who knows me to understand sort of the evolution of where some of my not musings, but where some of my thoughts were coming from. Yeah. And, that also helps the producers of these other podcasts, which are really quite good. So Alex mentioned Matt Belair, Mastermind, Body, and Spirit. There's also the Ascend podcast that I recommended. So I recommended 2 of those. You were going to say something about
Is the Ascend the third eye drops?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. So I am going to recommend a few more in the next coming days, and then we'll talk about those when I publish them. But I don't want to I want to kind of give a space to these 2, so that our listeners can go head over to those podcasts and give those a listen. But I think I left off at the Ascend podcast. So that was one I kind of stumbled upon. And it's I think these guys are in London, if I'm not mistaken. And now it's actually just one host instead of two. The other one's just taking a little time off. But anyway, I think if any of you out there are thinking about putting something down and publishing it, if you have something that you think that you want to say, just do it. I'm also working on material for a book, which I should have plenty by the end of this year. So.
Very, very excited about that.
So me too.
Yeah.
So that should be good. I mean, I originally thought I was going to publish something that was that I had done ages ago, and then I realized that was a different me, and so it was time to look at something more current to really reflect the person that I am now and the person that I am becoming. So I think on our next episode, we're going to give you a little preview. On our next episode, we're going to go back to the laws of the universe, because I really do find this fascinating. I also find it fascinating simply because it's something that my grandmother studied, which was metaphysics, and I found that very interesting. So it seems like there's a little bit of that gene in me as well. So, Lex, anything else to add?
No, that's right, and I'm looking forward to talking about the different laws. Maybe we'll do a few different podcasts on each.
Oh yeah,
like one podcast on each.
Yes,
one, and kind of just bring those up.
And it might be a little bit longer than 12 minutes.
Okay,
we'll see.
We'll see.
Okay. Until next week, everybody. Take good care and be kind and loving to everybody.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.